Okay guys, so now I'm going to show how to stop the standard knee cut. So Ben is going to come into the knee cut here, guys, and every time he does his knee cut, he's going to have the collar and he's going to have the knee. And his whole goal here, guys, is to drop his knee on the floor and pull my arm and pass the guard. So, like I said before, I'm always aware of where his power is in this position. So when Ben does this position, all his power is in this hip, dropping his knee to the mat. So this hip right in front of me is where the power is. If I push his chest, if I throw my leg here, if I do anything, I'm not addressing where his power is. So I'm going to be using a lot of energy that I shouldn't be using. So go back. So every time Ben does this pass, immediately I connect my reverse belly hiva hook in. What does this do? It gives me a second to keep his knee off the mat to address his hip. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put my arm under my knee. So now what just happened? Ben can't connect his knee to the floor now because my arm is under my knee. So now I shut off the power in his hip, which shuts off this pass. Now that the pass is shut off, I control the sleeve, I control the cross collar, I start throwing my leg on his shoulder. What is he going to do when I throw my leg on his shoulder? He's going to address this. He's not going to want me to put my foot here. So now all his weight is on his hip. I push his hip down, I go spider, I throw my leg over his shoulder, I square my hip. I connect my foot under his armpit, and now I'm ready to attack. Again, to get here, so you go, I hook, I connect my foot to his hip. I connect my arm under my knee, so now he can't put his knee to the floor. Because now his power is off here, now I can start getting my collar sleeve, I can throw my leg here, he lifts up his hip. I bend his body. Now because his body is bent, all his weight's on his upper body now. Before, his weight was on his legs. Once I get his weight to the upper body, I start attacking the upper body. So I put my foot on the bicep, throw my leg over, I square my hip, I connect my foot under his armpit, and I'm ready to attack. This angle here, so I'm here, he goes knee cut, I connect my foot, the reverse belly hiva, I put my arm under my knee, I grab the sleeve, I grab the cross collar, I throw my leg here, he opens his chest, now I bend his hip. So now all his weight's on his upper body, I can go spider now. And I can start attacking the upper body. Throwing my leg over his shoulder, I square my hip, I take this foot, I hook his armpit. Now I'm ready for all my attacks. Okay, this way. Here, goes knee cut. Immediately, I shut off the power in his hip. This is what all I'm focused on is this hip right here, because that's his strength in this pass. I go over my knee, sleeve, collar, I throw here, I bend his body, spider, I throw my leg in, I square my hip, I hook his armpit, and I'm ready to attack. Hey guys, so now I'm going to get into the attacks from this position. So Ben's going to be in this position again, and I'm just going to defend the position. He's going to go into the standard knee cut. I make the reverse belly heel hook, I hug, I go here, I body his body, spider, overhook, get to our attack position. So the first attack I like to do here, guys, I like to put all his weight on this shoulder and move his body this direction. Now his arm is exposed, and I have to take advantage of this. How do I do that? I pull the arm, I bend his sleeve down, and I attack the omoplata. So I'm here, Ben comes into the knee cut, I hook, knee, boom, bend his body, spider, overhook, hook, I shift his weight to his shoulder. I focus on his shoulders here. Now because I was able to get his weight to this back shoulder, I'm able to go for the omoplata here. This arm is light now because of that. Let's switch the angle. So I'm here, he comes into the knee cut, I hook, knee, boom, bend, spider, overhook, foot in. Now I shift his weight to that far shoulder. This shoulder's exposed now. I pull, I lock the omoplata. So one more time, real speed. Okay, so now I'm going to get into the second option from this attack. We're going to go to the same exact position. He's going to be going knee cut here, connect, overhook, cross collar, bend his hip, spider, overhook, square. I put my foot under his armpit. Now I start putting his weight on this shoulder. Ben sees I'm putting my weight on this shoulder, so what is he gonna do? He's gonna adjust it by putting his weight on this shoulder. Now because his weight's on this shoulder, I attack the triangle. How do I do that? I stretch my leg, I lock my feet, I bridge my hips, connect his arm to this side, I step on the hip, I grab my shin, I make an angle, and I lock the triangle. So I pay attention to his shoulders. That's the most important thing here. When I do the omoplata, I get his weight on this shoulder, his arm is exposed. When he defends, he puts his weight here, I attack the triangle. This angle, from here, goes to the pass, I hook, grab, here, push, spider, overhook, here. I start going omoplata and move his weight on this shoulder. He defends by leaning here, because he feels I'm gonna omoplata him. So he adjusts it, putting his weight on this shoulder. Now his shoulder is exposed because he's putting his weight on this shoulder is straight. I stretch, I bridge, I step on my hip, I grab my shin, I make an angle, and I lock the triangle. Again. Start going omoplata, he defends by bringing his shoulder forward. Boom. Here. Here. Again. Start going omoplata, he brings the weight forward. I shoot the triangle. Hey guys, so we're gonna go now into the scenario where I wasn't able to address his hip from the standard knee cut, and he was able to get his knee to the floor. So we're here, I'm here, he got his knee to the floor. Go back a little bit. I wasn't able to frame before he touched his knee on the floor, so he connects his knee to the floor. So now what do I have to do? Immediately, I have to make a grip on the collar, my thumb inside the collar, and 4 fingers inside. I'm gonna make a knee shield on his body, and I'm gonna put the ball of my knee, the knee shield, right on his hip, where his power is. And because his knee is on the mat, his weight is not on top of me. So if his weight was on top of me, I wouldn't be able to do this because his weight's on his upper body. But because he's using his legs, I'm gonna take advantage of this. How am I gonna do that? I'm gonna grab this collar, I'm gonna push his weight more onto the floor. Because he's not on me, I can move my head away. I'm gonna get on my elbow. I'm just posting my forearm on the mat, on my elbow. I'm gonna sit up, take out my bottom leg, and I'm gonna clear it and get to the bicep. And now I can go back to collar sleeve. So I messed up, Ben got to the standard knee cut, and he was able to connect his knee to the floor. Because his weight's on his legs, I'm able to do this. If his weight was on his chest, now I can't push him away because his weight's on his upper body, not his legs. So I'm gonna take advantage of when he drops his knee to the floor, his weight being on the legs. I grab the collar, I push his shoulder away to reinforce his weight onto that back leg. If his weight's on his forward leg, it's hard for me to move here, so if I push here, I'm helping him pass my guard. So when I push here, it reinforces his weight onto that leg, and this leg is light now. I grab the collar, I make a frame on his knee, on his hip, I go on my elbow, I push. Look how much I can get up here. Because I'm hanging off of my foot on his knee, on my knee shield here. I'm hanging here and posting on my elbow to take my foot out to clear the guard. Again. So he goes to the knee cut, he connects the foot to the floor. I have to adjust this side of his body to put his weight onto that shoulder and that leg. I frame, I go on my elbow, I come up. I'm just exaggerating, I want you guys to see how I'm able to make distance. Put my foot on the bicep, and I clear. Let's change the angle. So we're here, Ben comes here, he connects his knee to the floor, I frame, I go on my elbow, I come up, I frame. Alright, now let's do it a few times real speed. So, we'll do this angle first, you go. I frame, I go on my elbow, I come back. This way. Okay guys, so now we're going to get into the next type of knee cut, and this knee cut is more of a knee cut in my division because everyone is wary of lasso. So when he goes for the knee cut now, he's going to control my far leg. Instead of his grips on my knee and collar, he's going to control my far leg and this collar. And for this knee cut, he's going to use his shoulder, he's going to drop it on my hip, and he's going to control my hips, and he's going to pass the guard. So he comes back. So again, I'm going to evaluate where his power is. And when he does this knee cut, his power is coming from this shoulder, dropping it to my hip here. So if I bench press him, if I push his leg, I'm not adjusting where his power is. So I'm using so much energy that I shouldn't be using. All his power is from this shoulder. So what am I going to do? Immediately, I'm going to make a grip on this collar. I'm going to punch this shoulder back. Now I already adjust his power. Now I'm going to reinforce it by putting my foot on his shoulder. So now what did I just do? I shut off the power in this shoulder. So now he can't knee cut me from here because I shut off the power in his shoulder where the power is in this pass. So now, because the power is off here, he's leaning forward. I'm going to take advantage of this. I'm going to grab the tricep. I'm going to pull his shoulder to my body. I'm going to take my leg out, and now I have my attacks here. Back. Comes into the knee cut. I connect. I'm here. I'm in collar sleeve always here. I switch to this grip to punch his shoulder, and I replace my grip with my foot. Now I control the tricep. I pull his shoulder down. I take my leg out, and I like to put my ball of my foot on his hip here. This helps me move my body from here to here. Another detail when I'm here, if I was controlling cross collar when I'm here, Ben could throw my leg by and pass my guard. So what addresses that pass is me keeping my grip on this collar. If I let go and grab here, he could throw my leg by. So if I stay here, try to throw my leg by, he can't because my grip is protecting my foot. So he can't throw by my leg, and I'm safe to square my hip and get into the attack. Let's change angles. So we're here. Then comes into the pass. He's going for the knee cut here. We know where his power is now, so we're going to adjust his power immediately. We're going to shut off the power. His weight's in this shoulder. We punch the shoulder. I connect my foot right to this shoulder, so now his power is off here. I grab the tricep, I pull down, I put the ball of my foot on his hip, I square my hip, and I'm ready to get into my attacks. Let's do real-time speed now. Comes into my guard. Boom. Boom. Once I get here, I'm able to switch the cross collar because there's no throw by. The only time he can throw by is the second my hip is still on this side because my weight's on this hip. He can throw by. When I square up, now my weight's square, he cannot throw my leg. So I can switch to the cross collar and I'm safe here. Again. Here, comes in. Boom. Okay guys, so now I'm going to show when my opponent has the second option of the knee cut grips, he could go long step pass. I'm going to show how to adjust that. So Ben is going to be in my reverse de la Hiva again. We're going to be here. And before he passed my guard using this shoulder to go knee cut. So now Ben is going to use this shoulder to pass my guard by dropping his elbow on the mat, and he's going to long step pass to finish the pass. So when he does this, he's using this shoulder. This is his power in this pass. So I'm going to have to address his power on this side. So a lot of times when you go knee, whenever anyone passes, they say, oh, move your head away from the person. So go long step. If I move my head away from Ben, I can't bring my legs in. He's going to pass my guard. So keep going. He's going to pass my guard here. So if I move my head away, I'm limiting my options. I don't have my legs. So what I'm going to do is the exact opposite. When he starts going long step, I'm going to go toward his shoulder. I'm going to push his shoulder. I'm going to connect my foot inside. So I bring my knee to my chest and I go toward his shoulder. This gives me the angle of my hip to put my leg inside. Once I'm here, I adjust where his power is because his power is all on this arm. If I didn't adjust his power and I move my head away and I try focusing on this, I'm gonna get past because I'm focused on this arm instead of that arm. So he goes into the long step. I have to adjust this arm. I'm controlling this collar, ready to defend the knee cut because before he went knee cut. So I'm already here. He starts going long step. I push his shoulder. I put my foot inside. I'm gonna break the grip on his shoulder with my foot. I have this collar, so I'm gonna go cross collar. I'm gonna break the grip on the arm, and I'm in our attack position. Let's change the angle. Here, Ben comes in. Ben has the long step grips. This leg, this collar. I have my collar ready to defend the knee cut if he's gonna go knee cut with this shoulder. So now Ben uses this shoulder instead of this shoulder to the pass. He drops his elbow. I go toward his shoulder with my body to put my leg inside. I break the grip. I grab the cross collar. I move my body away. I break the grip on his arm, and I'm ready to attack. Okay? So every time I'm here, guys, when the person has the long step grips, I'm aware of both shoulders. What attacks he has on both shoulders. If he goes initially to this, he's gonna pass my guard. So I frame on this shoulder, so I'm safe. So he's not gonna use this shoulder now. He feels the frame. He's gonna use this shoulder. He goes. I push his shoulder away. I connect my foot to the bicep. I break the grip. I go cross collar. I break this, and I'm ready to attack. Let's do real time now. So let's go this way. Always adjusting this shoulder. That's where his power is in this pass, and that's where we're killing the power. Okay, so now I'm gonna go over a second option when the person goes long step, how I like to defend. This is a different scenario. So now Ben has the long step grips. I do our initial position. I frame on the collar. I frame on the tricep. He goes for the long step. I move toward it. I connect my foot to the shoulder. But this time, Ben's grip is too strong, and he doesn't let go when I try to break his grip here. I'm not able to break his grip. So what does that mean, guys? If I'm not able to break this grip, all his weight is on this shoulder, meaning that this arm is compromised. Because his forearm is compromised, I'm gonna pummel my foot onto the other arm, and now I'm gonna overhook, come back, and now I'm ready for the attacks. If I'm gonna go triangle, guys, I'm gonna keep the tricep and the far collar to go triangle. If I'm gonna go omoplata, I'm gonna let go, grab the sleeve, cross collar, and I'm gonna do our initial position before to get to the omoplata. So here, and comes into the long step. He goes here, we go long step. I push. Now look what happened. I try to break his grip. I can't. He's too strong with his grip. He's forcing all his weight onto this shoulder, so this shoulder is very weak. For him to keep power on this arm, he needs to put weight on this shoulder. If he puts weight on this shoulder, I can break the grip every time. So he decides to just stay on this shoulder strong. So I pummel my foot onto his shoulder. He comes back, I overhook, I get to our attack position, here and here, depending on what you guys want to do. So I'm here, and goes for the long step grips. I go here, I go here. I try to break it, I can't. His weight is all on this shoulder. This is free. We're gonna take advantage of where his power isn't. So we shut off his power on this shoulder, now we can attack this shoulder. Boom. Now he comes up, we get here, we have our triangle and our omoplata. Getting real speed now. Okay guys, so now we're going to go over is how to defend the over-under pass. This is a very common pass in Jiu-Jitsu, and I have a lot of cool positions I want to show you how to address it. So Ben's going to come into the over-under position. How Ben will pass my guard with over-under is he'll grab this grip, he'll bring his shoulders to my chest, he'll lift up his hips, he'll walk and clear my leg and pass my guard. So when I do this defense for the over-under, when I'm in the over-under, the first thing I think about is both of his shoulders. addressing one versus the other. For Ben to defend the over-under pass, but for me to defend the over-under pass, I gotta play with both of his shoulders. So Ben's gonna be here. He's gonna be in the over-under position. Immediately, I'm gonna frame my cross collar grip on this shoulder. So now I have one frame on this shoulder. This side, I'm good right now. I grab the elbow, and now with this leg, I'm gonna put my knee on the other shoulder. So what did I just do by making my grip on this shoulder and this shoulder? I'm addressing both shoulders now. So now, because I have frames on both shoulders, it gives me a little window of opportunity to get out of this position. So my grip's on the elbow, right above the elbow. I'm gonna move my hip out. So I'm here, I move my hip out. I put his weight on this far shoulder. I pummel my leg in, I circle, and I start moving his body this way. If he doesn't move, I attack omoplata here. So Ben, feeling that I'm gonna attack his arm, comes back. I go close guard. Again, I'm playing with his shoulder side to side. So Ben comes here, he's in the over-under position. I need to address both shoulders here to be safe in this position. So I frame on this shoulder, I put my knee on the other shoulder. So now I have two frames on his shoulders, and he needs his shoulder to pass my guard. So I need to frame both shoulders to be safe here. I frame with my knee, I frame with the cross collar, I get above elbow grip, I move my hip out. How do I move my hip out? I push, and I use my bottom hook on the leg to push my butt out. That's how I'm able to hip skate my body. So I'm here, I hip skate my body, now I throw my leg in. If he doesn't move, I keep making his weight go here. So I could grab the shoulder and attack the omoplata here, or the arm lock here. So I'm trying to collapse his body here. He has the over-under. I frame, I move my body, I throw my leg in, I grab the shoulder, I collapse his body, omoplata, or he's here, I go here, I throw my leg in, I try collapsing his body, he brings this shoulder forward. Close guard. Let's change the angle. He's here, then goes for the over-under pass. I frame on both shoulders using my knee and the cross collar. I grab above the elbow, I move my butt out using my bottom leg. Because I'm using my bottom leg, I'm able to move my body. It's all in my bottom leg. So I move my bottom leg, I use my bottom leg to move my butt out. I circle my leg, I make him collapse on this shoulder, I grab that tricep, I attack the omoplata. Ben feels I'm attacking the omoplata, he brings his body forward, I go close guard. Again, playing with both shoulders here. So now we're gonna go real time. Hey guys, so now I'm going to go into the second variation of this position. So as I said before, when I do the over-under defense, when I'm in the over-under position on bottom, I have to monitor both shoulders. This shoulder and this shoulder. This is where his power is. He's going back and forth with both shoulders like a seesaw. So I have to frame both shoulders, get my knee shield, control above the elbow, and now now I'm safe on both shoulders. I have a frame. So now I'm going to go do the initial position. I move my body away using my bottom leg. That's very important. I use my bottom leg to get my butt out. I start pummeling my leg in to clear my leg because I'm able to keep his weight on this shoulder. Now Ben feels that I'm putting his weight on this side. He's gonna answer this position by putting his weight on this shoulder. So because the weight's on this shoulder now, this shoulder's compromised. So I'm going to take advantage of the other shoulder. How do I do that? I'm going to take my knee, I'm going to put it to my chest and connect my knee to his shoulder. Now that my knee's connected to his shoulder, I'm back in all my attacks. The triangle, the omoplata, I have all my options here. So Ben's gonna come into the over-under pass. I'm monitoring both shoulders. I have a frame on both shoulders using my knee, using the cross collar on his shoulder, and grabbing above the elbow. I move my butt away using my bottom leg. I push his shoulder away to pummel my leg in. Ben answers this by bringing his shoulder forward. So I can't pummel now, but because he put his weight on this shoulder, what does that mean? He compromised his body on this side. So I take my knee out, I move my body. How do I move my body here? I bring my knee to my shoulder, I use this leg on his shoulder to pivot my hips square. Now that I'm square, I have a lot of options and attacks here. The stretch, triangle, or omoplata. Let's change angle. He goes over under. I frame on both shoulders. So now I have a wall. I'm blocking both of his shoulders. I move my butt out. I start going for the initial attack. He brings his shoulder forward. I take out my knee. I connect my knee to my shoulder. I move my hips square. Now I stretch, omoplata, or triangle. Now we're gonna go real speed. Okay guys, so now I'm going to go into the third variation of this position, following the same concept that we discussed before, monitoring both shoulders. Ben's going to come into my guard again in the over-under position. He's going to be here. Again, every time, like I said before, we're monitoring both shoulders, so I'm going to get my knee on his shoulder and my cross collar on this shoulder. I'm going to grab above the elbow, and now I'm safe in this wall position that I have a frame. I have about 3 frames here. 1, 2, 3. And the more frames I have, the better, right? So I'm here, I move my hip out to do the initial position, because what I want to do is keep his weight on this shoulder, pummel my leg, and clear the leg. Ben monitors it by putting his weight on this shoulder, like before. So I start taking my knee out, because his weight's on this shoulder, and I start bringing my knee out, because this shoulder's free. Ben feels that I changed the pressure of his shoulder to this side. He's going to put his weight forward on this shoulder. So now, what just happened to this shoulder? It's compromised again. So I move my hip, I throw my leg in. Now I'm back to the initial position where I grab the tricep, I have the omoplata, I start going omoplata, he brings his weight forward, I go close guard. So as you guys can see, I'm just playing with both shoulders here. If I go one shoulder, he defends, putting his weight on the other, I take advantage of wherever his weight goes on his shoulders. So Ben comes into my over-under again. I frame, I have the knee on the shoulder, the cross collar. I have my wall here. I put his weight on this shoulder to move my hip to take out my leg. Ben addresses it by putting his weight on this shoulder. So now where am I free? Where is he compromised now? This shoulder. I take my knee out. Now he feels he's strong here. So now where is his strength now? It's on this shoulder. So now this shoulder is weak. So I move out again, just like the initial position. I pummel my leg. Now I'm trying to put his weight on that shoulder to attack the arm. So he feels this. He brings his weight forward. Now I attack close guard. Okay. Frame. I start pummeling to get my leg out. You bring your shoulder forward. I bring my knee out. He defends putting his shoulder forward. I move my body because his weight's on this shoulder now. Pummel my leg. Now I have my arm attack here. I start going arm attack. He brings his shoulder forward. I have close guard. Let's change angle. Goes over under. Here I frame on both shoulders. I move my butt out to pummel. He brings his shoulder forward. This shoulder is free. I go here. Now he puts his weight on this shoulder. So what shoulder is free now? This shoulder is where I can move because his weight's on this shoulder. I move my body. I pummel my leg. I attack the arm. Or I try to attack the arm. He puts his weight back on this shoulder. My leg is free. Now let's drill it to show them in real time. Here I can also attack the arm lock or arm bar. Okay guys, so now I'm going to show my fourth variation for the over-under position. So as I said before, I'm always playing with both shoulders, back and forth, back and forth. So now for this scenario, I try the first move, so I'm here, I move my body, I try to pummel, he brings his shoulder forward. So now this side's weak. I take out my knee, he addresses it by bringing this shoulder forward. So now I want to take out my leg. I move my body to take out my leg. He brings this shoulder forward again. So now he's kind of in between both. I don't feel like I can take out my bottom leg, and I don't feel like I can pummel my leg. So what do I have to do here? What I have to do is I have to bring my knee to my chest and bring his shoulder to my chest here. And now what just happened? His weight is compromised on his backside because his weight's on this shoulder. So I'm going to take advantage of this and I'm going to sweep him down here. The second I get here, look at his elbow. It's open. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the elbow, I'm going to take out my leg, and now I have my triangle, or I have my omoplata. Change the angle. Ben comes in. I make my frame on both shoulders here. I move my body, I start pummeling my leg. He brings his shoulder forward. I open my knee. He brings his weight forward on his shoulder. I try to pummel. He brings his shoulder forward now. So now he's in between both. I don't feel like I can open my knee. I don't feel like I can take it out. But my knee's to my chest now. So I'm going to take advantage of this by bringing my knee to my chest, putting his weight back on this shoulder. I'm going to lift and use my hook on his leg like a butterfly hook to sweep him down. I pull the elbow. I get the omoplata, or I get the triangle. Okay, so you're here. Again, I'm playing with both shoulders. I'm here. I try to pummel to address this shoulder because his weight's on this shoulder. The second I try to pummel, he puts his weight on this shoulder. So this is where I'm free, this shoulder. I take out my knee. Now he puts his weight on this shoulder. So again, I'm free on this side. Now Ben addresses it by putting his weight on this shoulder. And I don't feel like I can open or close because he's on both shoulders now. So now all I'm going to do is put my knee to my chest. I'm going to use my hook like a butterfly hook. I'm going to sweep him down. I'm going to pull the elbow out, attack the triangle, or attack the omoplata. Let's go more real speed now. Guys, I just want to again explain when I'm here. I'm always focused on his shoulders and how important it is to work side to side. I really tried to show you guys how the approach here, like each step, like because his reaction I focus on, and every time he reacts one way, I do the other way. Always. I never try to force. Like if his shoulder's here, I'm never going to try to force against his shoulder. I never go against him. I go with him everywhere he goes. His shoulder's here, I go on this shoulder. His shoulder's here, I go on this shoulder. I never go against, I always go with. So then you're not using strength. If I go against him, if his shoulder's here, I'm trying to pummel my leg, I'm using energy that I shouldn't be using. I'm wasting energy going against him. So I should always go whatever he gives me. I never go against him. I clear, and now I'm safe. Okay guys, so now I'm going to recap all the 4 over-under variations I gave you guys. From over-under position. He's here. I'm focused on both shoulders. So I make my initial frame, my wall here. And the more frames I have in guard, the safer I am on bottom. So I have 3 frames now. 1 on my arm, 2 on my collar, and 3 with my knee on his shoulder. So now I force his weight to this side. I get his weight on this shoulder. Every time his weight's on one shoulder, the other shoulder's compromised. So because his weight's on this shoulder's free, I pummel. I'm safe. That was option 1 that I showed you guys. So now I went here, I started pummeling, he brought his shoulder forward. So now he reacted to me moving his weight to this shoulder by putting his weight on this shoulder. So this shoulder is what's free. I take out my knee based on his reaction. So now he reacts, putting his weight back on this shoulder. He puts his weight on this shoulder. Now what's free again? The other shoulder. Because every time he's on one, he can't be on the other. So I move my hip, I pummel my leg. Because his weight was on this shoulder. So now, when I start pummeling my leg, he puts his weight back onto this shoulder. So now he's in between both. And now I'm trying to take out my leg, he's keeping it in, and he's just in between both. Now his weight is compromised because he's using his legs now, so I can sweep him. Here. So every time I feel that his weight's on both, his base is compromised because he has to use his legs to keep his weight on both. So I can sweep him. So I'm here, I pummel my foot, he defends, boom. I take out my knee, he defends, boom. I pummel my leg, I can't pummel, he brings his shoulder forward. Now his weight on his legs. Boom, I can sweep. So I'm just playing with both shoulders, monitoring both sides, and just taking whatever he gives me. I never go against him, I always go with him. And that's what I think makes this position effective, if you just focus on doing the opposite of what he's doing and addressing what's free.